Tonight on The South Today, we've been living under the COVID-19 traffic light system and masks since 2020, but that's about to change. Dancers from several Southern Asian cultures came together for a special occasion. And meteorite hunters are searching around Otago, hoping to come across a huge discovery. Kia ora, good evening. I'm Hannah Wilkins. It's lights out for the country's COVID traffic light system. Set up in the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, it's been renewed or amended by the government every 3 months since then. Now the Prime Minister has announced the end of the lights and the end of mask wearing in most situations.
It's official. The traffic light system of COVID-19 response is getting the final red light. The PM this afternoon confirming the government will drop its long-term traffic light system to control the various rules and regulations around managing COVID-19.
Cabinet has concluded that from midnight tonight, we will remove the COVID-19 protection framework, or the traffic light system, and make a number of other changes to our settings.
The COVID-19 protection framework has been in place since the start of the pandemic in March 2020. Initially with a level system, before the country moved into a less restrictive traffic light regime. This ends at midnight on Monday, which Jacinda Ardern says was a milestone in the country's response. It'll mean masks will no longer be required to be worn, apart from in healthcare and aged care facilities.
We do not want to ask more of you than the evidence tells us we should. That does not mean you shouldn't wear a mask or judge others who do, so please do respect those who choose to wear masks.
The sweeping policy shifts also changed the rule that people should only isolate at home if they have COVID themselves, but not if someone in their household has it. All vaccine mandates will also end from September the 26th. The Prime Minister says the nation can now look forward to a summer of great content, with the discontent of what if now gone. She says it's now time for the nation to heal. In Dunedin, The South Today.
Operation London Bridge Has Fallen is in full swing. Now New Zealanders across the country are set to join the United Kingdom and other Commonwealth countries in a day of mourning for Her Royal Highness. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has announced the country will mark a one-off public holiday on Monday the 26th of September to mourn the death of Queen Elizabeth II. The Dunedin RSA is raising the flags at half-mast tomorrow morning at 9 at the Queen's Garden Cenotaph, honouring her 70-year sovereignty. A state memorial service is set to be held at St Paul's Wellington Cathedral on the 26th, with the event to be televised and live-streamed. 50 years of the People's Republic of China was celebrated in Dunedin at the weekend. Dancers from many Southern Asian cultures took part in a mid-spring festival with a host of dignitaries celebrating the event.
From a local Southern Kapa haka group to traditional Chinese dancers, Pacific cultures were celebrated during the Chinese Mid-Season Festival in Dunedin at the weekend. Chinese Consul General He Ying was on hand, marking the occasion.
We are one family, so I'd like to take the opportunity to send my best wishes to the Chinese communities and all the friends present today.
Dunedin Chinese community representative Hu Zhang says Saturday was a perfect day to hold the event, as the moon was full at night and the sun out during the day.
Yeah, today we celebrate Chinese Moon Festival and also, upcoming China National Day. Your Chinese community gather here to celebrate.
Dancers and traditional musicians from many parts of Southeast Asia shared customary performances. Dunedin Mayor Aaron Hawkins says Otago has a rich history with people from China settling in the area.
Back to the gold rush and the families that have lived here since then have really contributed to the civic life of this city, and it's really great to be able to celebrate alongside our newer migrant families.
Traditionally, the full moon in the middle of this season is a time for reunions and to give thanks. In Dunedin, The South Today.
2 drivers and a passenger have had lucky escapes following 2 separate crashes in Dunedin. A car rolled onto its roof on Mount Grand Road near Kaikorai Valley just before 9 on Monday morning. One person was treated for minor injuries after the single vehicle crash. Meanwhile, over the weekend, emergency services had to remove paint from Otago Harbour after a crash near Harrington Point. 2 people had to swim back to shore after the black sedan plunged into the water around midday on Saturday, with one person taken to Dunedin Hospital with moderate injuries. Emergency services worked together to clean around 10 house paint cans from the harbour, which had started spilling out into the water. Otago meteorite hunters have been back out in Middlemarch, continuing their search for space debris. Fireballs Aotearoa spent the weekend combing the hilly paddocks, hoping to be the first to find the huge discovery.
Still searching for the fireball that fell to Earth recently. Fireballs Aotearoa members and volunteers are keeping their eyes on the ground, hoping to recover freshly fallen asteroid fragments. The group filmed the meteoroid breaking up in the atmosphere on the 28th of August, thanks to night sky fireball tracking cameras. They're optimistic there's enough of the space debris left intact from when it landed somewhere west of Dunedin near Middlemarch.
So, yeah, that means there's more chance of there being material that survived its ablation by the atmosphere all the way to the surface. But we don't know for sure. We have the modelling, and we can trust what the modelling says and then go and see what the ground tells us.
However, the group knows it's no small feat finding the meteorite.
It's a very small piece of metallic material, or potentially of more rocky material, and it is somewhere in a very large field.
Fireballs Aotearoa are continuing their search for the meteorite, which they say would be a huge discovery in Middlemarch, the South Today.
Runners braced strong winds over the weekend as they put one foot in front of the other for the Emerson's Dunedin Marathon. The return of the event attracted hundreds of competitors, but only one person can claim the top spot.
Back in full force after a 2-year break. Hundreds of competitors ran, jogged or walked their way through the full or half marathon yesterday. It's the first year the marathon has been run under the banner of the Emerson's Dunedin Marathon, but the change in name didn't affect the turnout. Serious and recreational athletes took part on Sunday, with ultramarathon runner Glenn Sutton choosing to run the event while wearing a giant homemade beer can costume. Defending champion Jonas Smith retained his title, walking away with back-to-back wins in a time of 2 hours and 42 minutes, 1 minute quicker than the runner-up. 4 marathon runners kicked things off at the Portobello Domain, with the half-marathon competitors racing around the Caledonian ground, with both groups ending their run at Emerson's Brewery. The marathon's been put on hold for the past 2 years due to COVID-19, but the chance to compete once again was welcomed by local runners. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Whaiakene, still to come on the South Today. Calls for the government to save the Milford Sound airstrip. And Cardrona's Stomp series sees athletes soaring high as the Winter Games wind down.
Monday, November the 6th, 1995, and a cool, blustery breeze greets Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth and His Royal Highness Prince Philip on their arrival by Royal New Zealand Air Force 727 at Momona, the city of Dunedin's airport.
The Queen came by in a big black car and she was waving to me and I waved back.
We can't tell you what the Queen thought of our children, but they seem very happy to tell us what they thought of her.
She had a pretty hat.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Well, mate, I'm thinking about getting a new ute.
Tēnā koe, welcome back. The National Party is backing calls to stop the proposed closing of Milford Sounds airstrip. National's transport spokesperson Simon Brown is calling on the government to scrap its proposal to close the airstrip. The Milford Opportunities Governance Group announced a plan last July to limit the ways visitors can enter the area. The group claims the proposal aims to reduce the impact tourism is having on Milford Sound so it can be preserved for future generations. But Brown says the runway is vital to the region's tourism operations and closing the airport would only add to the bus and car congestion. Elite athletes showed their big air skills and park jam style as the Winter Games wound down at the weekend. The two-day stop series included a big air competition at Cardrona on Saturday, followed by a chance for the stars to show off on a purpose-built rail garden on Sunday.
A strong lineup of international competitors were flying high at the weekend as the Winter Games wrapped up near Wanaka. Canadian Max Moffat took out the men's ski event and says the Stomp series is an excellent way to promote the sport.
I love the sort of switch up and the creativity aspect, and yeah, I think that's sort of what snowboarding and free skiing was sort of built off of, so I think it's the best way to push the sport, honestly.
Saturday's conditions were perfect, and a field including world champions and Olympic Games medalists made the most of them. Moffat took out the top spot, but local Kiwi stars Finn Billis and Jackson Wells claimed the second and third podium positions.
I had a couple of tricks I wanted to lay down and managed to do all of that, and to come away with the podium was amazing.
Yeah, it was cool with the technical aspect and then the style stuff. It was nice to be able to do some slower spins, feel a little bit safer in the air, but also fun to get a bit spinny.
The big air competitors took 4 laps on the jump and were given a combined score for their best style trick and best technical trick. Meanwhile, Japanese competitors managed to claim the majority of the medals across the men's and women's snowboard events. Miyabi Onitsuka pleased to win the women's competition, but had wanted to do more.
I wanted to try back double 12, but I couldn't learn the front double 10, so I couldn't.
Mari Fukada was second in the women's snowboard, with New Zealand's Cool Wakushima in third. At Cardrona, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. It's lights out for the government's COVID traffic light system, with masks no longer required in most situations. Several South Asian cultures have celebrated 50 years of the People's Republic of China through dance. And the hunt continues. Volunteers from Fireballs Aotearoa spent their weekend searching for meteorite fragments near Middlemarch. And now a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT, and we welcome the Associate Editor, Joe Simpson. Kia ora, Joe.
Kia ora.
What can we expect in your paper tomorrow?
The air quality data and pollution from around Otago have both slightly dipped this year, so we're getting better with pollution.
Fantastic.
COVID regulations largely scrapped from tonight. We'll have the reaction plus some numbers today. And we all get a day off for the Queen's funeral, but some local businesses are not at all happy.
Okay. Oh, we look forward to reading that in the paper tomorrow. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
And time now for a look at the weather.
The South Today weather, proudly brought to you by MoleMap, the skin cancer detection specialists.
Looking at the situation, very cold southwest air will arrive over the region tomorrow, bringing widespread hail and sleety showers and some snow flurries to low levels inland. These wintry showers will clear on Wednesday with heavy frosts that night. Heading to the top of the South Island, gusty winds with showers up north, 15 for Nelson, 14 in Greymouth with westerlies and squally showers, while Ōtautahi Christchurch gets 16 with nor'westerlies and high cloud. Travelling to South Canterbury and North Otago, wintry showers and changing winds as we head through here. Ashburton heads for 16, 14 with southwesterlies and late showers for Timaru, and Oamaru will experience that too, but it will drop in temperature quite a bit, reaching a high of 9. Westwards now to the Central Lakes. Snow or hail showers across the board here with gusty southwesterlies. Wanaka and Queenstown get up to 6 degrees tomorrow, and Alexandra does one better with 7. Heading further south, a chilly day on the way with strong southwesterlies to knock the fresh lambs around, along with snow or hail showers. Balclutha, Gore and the Catlins are all heading for a high of 6 degrees. Now down to the deep south. Well, showers tonight with strong southwesterlies in Invercargill, down to 4. Very cold tomorrow with hail and sleet showers as the strong winds continue, bringing a high of just 7. Into Wednesday, showers clearing early and cloud breaking later in the day with winds easing, but it'll still be a cool day, up to 9 degrees before a frost. And lastly, heading to Dunedin. Showers tonight with a low of 7. Tomorrow is going to be a particularly cold one with biting winds and showers turning to sleet and hail and maybe some snow flurries on the hills. Expect a high of 8. And wintry conditions again on Wednesday, but that should ease as the day goes on. A high of 9 and down to -2 with a frost. And that's the news this Monday. For the latest news and videos from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. And you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. We'll see you again tomorrow. Ka kite a popo.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.